Welcome everyone back from long weekend in the States and the UK. I'm Nicole Alvino, our co-founder and chief strategy officer. I am joined by Tim Christensen, our chief technology officer, and we are thrilled to share some of our new updates in the platform with you today. A bit of housekeeping. We do want you to ask questions as we're demoing the new parts of the platform. Please use the Q&A button. Go ahead and click it, type in your questions. We'll do as best we can to answer those, and of course follow up with any questions we didn't get to. And a note for those of you who are SocialChorus customers, we'll also have a deep dive on this functionality. There are webinars Thursday and Friday. So without further ado, driving organizational change from our platform. So, as we all know, COVID has accelerated or driven change in all of our organizations almost overnight, whether it's transition to working from home or keep people working. We have undergone what has been a massive change and will continue to be a change in all of our businesses. Unfortunately, most change that businesses undergo has a very, very low success rate, only about 30%. If we think about why that is, it's not because of the technology that's the problem, it's the people. Any change in business requires people to think, feel, and do things differently, which is very hard. At SocialChorus, most of you know that we've always had our North Star of the worker. We've always believed that every worker is important. Every worker is critical to fulfilling the mission of the company. We want every worker, every person to really understand their role and what that means for the company, how they can work together for something that's bigger than themselves, especially in a time of change and thinking about how we will need to act in this new way of working. It's critical that we enable our companies to reach, align, and mobilize every single worker in order to drive change. The great news is, as leaders, as communicators, we know that communications is that thread to tie the organization together. And in order to deliver on any change, whether it's return to the workplace, which we'll talk a lot about today, or anything new that's coming, it is about reaching every person where they are with the information they need to align them to what the organization needs from them and really mobilize them to action. Then you will also have data to inform your decisions, make better decisions to continue to drive change. And as we think about change, it's iterative. It's not one change that happens and then we're done. We're constantly listening, learning, and iterating, giving you data and intelligence to truly drive impactful change. Okay, so what is coming to drive this change? So before we hop into demo, Tim, will you talk a little bit about our product vision?
Yeah. Welcome everybody. I'm Tim Christensen, CTO of SocialChorus. And one thing that at SocialChorus, what we've always felt very clear on with respect to workforce communications is it's our long-term goal to serve these three primary personas: the worker, the communicator, and the organization. And when we mean by serving each one of these personas, what we're saying is, like, in order to reach every worker, we need to serve every worker with the news and information they need in 2 minutes a day. And it also means to enable every communicator, from CEO to frontline manager to big C communicator. We know that it's our responsibility to enable everyone to deliver business outcomes through effective communications. And third, if we're able to reach and serve every worker and we're able to enable every communicator, we now have the ability to empower organizations with the intelligence to make smarter business decisions. So everything that we do at SocialChorus is centered around serving the long-term success of these three personas, which is why today's exciting, because there's 3 new capabilities that we will be launching or talking about that are coming soon that are, we believe will enable an order of magnitude more impact for communications. So we're gonna start with the mobile experience 4.0 and really dive a little bit into Assistant to showcase how we think this is a leap forward to serving the worker. Then we're gonna jump into polls and talk about how polls will deliver more intelligence and leveraging the power of the platform will really help communications drive more impact. And third, we'll get into analyze and say how bringing those pieces together will really help organizations gain more intelligence insights on the health and the performance of their organization.
That is perfect. Okay, without further ado, let's just hop in to the demo. So Tim's going to pull up and we're going to start with the experience. So the employee experience, mobile, then web. As he pulls that up, when we are thinking about enabling change, we're going to start and use a return to work or return to a workplace as a frame to talk about the change that we'll need to drive in our workforces as we're preparing for this next phase. So if we think about that framework, reach, align, mobilize, we have to reach either targeted individuals or the entire workforce with a certain message to align them, what they need to know, what they need to feel, and then ultimately, how do we mobilize them on what they need to do? So, Tim, what are we looking at?
Yeah, so with 4.0, obviously here at SocialChorus, we're incredibly excited about this release. This is probably one of the most transformative releases in our mobile experience that we've seen in the last 4 years. And as the goal with our product, we always want to make everything that we do simple, powerful, and inspiring. It's not enough to have people use the product. For us, we want people to want to use the product. And we hope that you'll agree with 4.0 that we've really delivered on that aspiration. So a few things to note with 4.0. First, we've updated the navigation. It's a little bit hard to see here because I'm using this mirror capability that's kind of a little bit of a shadow at the bottom, but we've changed the bottom nav. We've gone to a four menu bottom nav element. And the primary goal there is to make it more prominent, the things that you should have access to on every single usage. So what you see at the bottom is you have a news feed, right? You should always have easy access, default to your personalized news feed. We also have made Assistant more prominent so it stands out, which we'll come back to. And then if you're a communicator, a leader, CEO, we want to make it really easy to communicate with your teams or your organization. And finally, we have a more section, which really still gives you really quick access to the things that are critical, but just they're not things that are critical on every single usage. So we want to make them easy to get to, but not something that consumes what we consider as the prominent use of the product, which is the feed, assistant, or publishing content.
Great.
So,
and there's a little small surprise. Some people might think it's a big surprise. If you are creating content, do you want to talk about what the small surprise is before we hop into Assistant?
oh yeah, well so there's two things. One is with this is the search. You'll notice that we put search up in the feed. So we got a lot of feedback from people that they want to make search more prominent, but we didn't want search to dominate. So we made search available contextually with what you're doing. So search is available on the feed, right? Which is the same search experiences that everybody's familiar with. So I can search, get my articles, and I can drill in. We've also made search available on the More menu. So you have it right up there at the top. And even if you get into Discover, you have search available there as well. And what Nicole was alluding to with that nice little surprise is we have now unlocked, if it's come here. All right, so we now have albums. And so you can see here, album is a card. It's a set, you can see on this album, one of 3 images. You can sit here and scroll through the images right there, as you would in your feed. you have the same capabilities like the caption. You can see all the data on your cards, but then you can go to full image view. And so then you can see the full image of your album as well. So obviously very excited. For a lot of people, this is, depending on the channel or the purpose, this is incredibly impactful, much more engaging, makes it easier to tell stories. And we really wanted to leverage basically what's best in class in the industry around albums and bring that into the community.
Yeah, we've had a lot of use cases just on working from home or different types of workplaces and people submitting different pictures to help connect and to tell stories. So I've seen some comments coming in. People are pretty excited about this. And yes, you can upload up to 10 photos in that scroll, similar to Instagram.
Yeah. So to the star of the show, the main event for 4.0 really is Assistant. And we think that with Assistant, our aspiration here is we really want to take personalization to an individual level and deliver utility for every worker, regardless of role, location, tenure, and do it with a simple, frictionless experience. And we think that if we're able to achieve this, that through Assistant, it will unlock more effective and more impactful communications, which at the root of it is why we're doing this. If we can reach and serve every worker with what they need, we have now unlocked more opportunity and impact for effective communications. So a few fun things to note about Assistant. You'll see that at the bottom there's a light bulb. We actually chose the light bulb because we felt like it was a perfect representation of what we want Assistant to be. A light bulb universally is a representation of utility, of intelligence, and even inspiration. And that's how we look at Assistant. We want it to be that source of utility and a place of intelligence and a place of inspiration for every worker. We also brought a little bit of personality to it. So at the top, you see that avatar. And what's interesting about that avatar is I'll refresh here and you can see that message change. So the Assistant will come with a set of messages, facts, and points of inspiration, just to bring a little bit of fun and personality to the overall experience.
Tim, 2 questions have come up. One, is there an opportunity to customize this avatar? And then 2, can you talk about the translation or localization of the messages?
Yeah, so the messages at the top are going to have to be localized. Obviously, it's not going to be a seamless experience if some of the messages are in their native language and then others are not. So all the messages at the top will be localized, which is why the message at the top likely will not be customizable for customers because localization is a little bit difficult, but the avatars will be. So the idea, not with the initial release, but with a release coming in the near future, you'll be able to select the avatar that is most representative of the brand you're trying to portray.
Perfect.
Yeah. All right, so I've launched Assistant, and what you see here is you see the Smart Inbox. And why we're calling Smart Inbox is because there's the spirit behind this is that when everything is important, nothing is. And, you know, if I go over to notifications and I haven't been in the community for a week and I'm scrolling through, I actually don't know what's important in here. I'm not quite sure what needs my attention. Do I need to click on everything? Where should I start? So what we want to do with Smart Inbox is really make that much easier for the daily users, the hourly users, or even the monthly users. We want to know every single time they come into the experience that they know what is important to them and what priorities they need to have within 2 minutes a day. So some of the things we've done with Smart Inbox is, one, we're categorizing them. So you can see that I have a few items that need my attention. So they're almost like to-dos. And at the bottom, you can see that I've got some posts that are recommended for me. So if I click into one of these, let's say I looked at these and I feel like, okay, I'm feeling okay with these notifications. I come back, they're gone. If I go into requires action, maybe I can't dismiss those. But if I check out the engagements or the reactions on some of these posts, I can choose to click in or not. But when I come back, it's gone. So it's almost like a light to-do list. You can know that when you come in, you get through your Smart Inbox, that you know that you did not miss anything. So we're really addressing the fear of missing out concern that a lot of users have. The second piece about this is that we're going to batch this up. So every day, You come in and you might have a new set of smart notice within your inbox. And the idea there is that you can feel assured that you can come in, click, get through your list and leave. And if there's anything that's important for you, that you can come at the next day and we've got your back. We will make sure that you know what you need to know and you don't have to go scrubbing through the community to find it.
Tim, I love this. I'm hearing more and more as we're talking about streamlining the digital employee experience. A common challenge is that for desk first workers or people who are in front of a screen, they're bombarded. All these systems, these alerts, how to filter through the signal from the noise. And then for folks who are not in front of a screen every day, they don't know where to find things. It seems like this would really solve for that. Am I thinking about it the right way?
Yeah, totally. Right now, we think about it in a lot of lenses, whether it's the role, it could be access to technology. Sometimes it's the frequency of access to technology. So we want to make it easy for a person that went on vacation for 2 weeks. If they come back, they don't have to scroll through 500 posts or 300 notifications to see what's important. We can say at the very top, hey, 4 things need your attention, 5 posts were recommended for you. So you can feel assured that the most important things have been bubbled up to the top so you can get in, get what you need. And you can still go and explore, but at least we've helped you have a more effective and more connected day on a daily basis.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I love that. Effective connected day.
There
There
you
are
go.
two questions about items requiring your attention and how to get things there. You'll have to tune in 3 more minutes and we'll get there. We'll come back to that piece.
There you go. Yeah. All right. So you notice at the top there, you can almost think like, so in Assistant, the second section over that globe is Command Center. And the spirit behind the Command Center, the best way I can place it is, the Swiss Army knife is one of the most popular tools in human history, right? And that's largely due to its simplicity, its utility, and its portability. We want the Command Center to be the Swiss Army knife for every worker. And what we mean by that is we want to enable every worker to get the most common information in the easiest way possible, get what they need when they need it, and unlock access to the basic questions that regard HR or expense or help or training or company, and do it in a way that it's one click, right? Access to information is not accessible if it's difficult to use. So we want to make it really easy. One click, discover, get what you need, get out. And if we can do that, then we've eliminated the friction. And when you have lower friction, you have higher use. And when you have higher use, you have better reach, better engagement, more effective communications. So it's really critical that through Command Center, we become that Swiss Army knife for workers because we think it's really going to help them stay connected and informed on a daily basis.
That makes sense. And then can you explain to me the difference between what resources are and what those company links are?
Yeah, so these are, if you think about it, those top pills are really, we really want to make it, from a use case to use case, very easy for you to get different collections of information. So in certain cases, resources really could be a set of 3 or 4 important documents for you and your role, whereas company lease could be access to whether it's an intranet or maybe it's access to a specific pay system. Maybe you don't have a specific integration set up, but you want to have really easy access to those systems. So we want to make it easy to get to these different systems or locations within the enterprise, and resources, company links, those are all different ways to organize that data.
Got it. And then are those, I had a question about targeting. People really love our targeting. Are you able to target the documents and resources as well as some of these other services?
Yeah, everything in here falls under the same principles that you have with like channels, how you can target channels. So for example, this Bamboo HR, this is an integration we have. It's largely for demo purposes. But this right now could be targeted towards myself. And if you looked at Nicole, she may not have it. Same thing with Zendesk or ServiceNow or Return to Work resources. These all could be targeted to a particular audience. And you might have multiple HR assistants for different parts of your organization. So you could enable these different systems for different groups of workers. So everybody would have an HR service, but they would all be targeted to different groups. So it's a good intro into what the second section is. And the second section really, from a services perspective, is to make it easy for you to get that 80% information that you would need from these common services that people have within the enterprise. So, and the third piece down here, you see this, what are you looking for? You could think of that as a command search, right? So if I go into this command search, you could see that maybe what I'm looking for is, I don't know where it lives, but I know I'm looking for expense activity. So I can start typing expense and it will show me all the different expense commands that are available to me based on the services that have been enabled. So if I want to look at my pending expenses, right, I can pull that up. And what this is actually doing is calling Concur, who's the system of record for expense management, and it's giving me some of the basic details. And then I can click it and see more information. But what we're also trying to do to make this easy to discover what is possible or what is effective for the individual is we're giving you these follow-up contextual pills. So if I'm looking for my pending expenses, maybe I'm also looking for my paid, or maybe I'm looking for my rejected. So we want to make it easy for you to click, click, click to get to the information you need and feel like you have to search less. But if you really want to see all the things you can do, you can come into Explore. And here you can really just scroll through the full library of the different commands that have been made available to you. But there's other ways that if you already know that you're looking for services within Concur, you can come into Concur and you can see all of the capabilities that we have enabled with your Concur service.
Got it. And
Right.
Tim, we have a question between, what's the difference between the company links and then some of the other services that are called out in a different way?
Yeah, so what's really nice about the way that apps and services has been set up is that it really can be almost anything. So company links right here is we've enabled a targeted service that, let's say for me, these are a set of what we consider the most popular links for potentially my role. And these are really, going back to Concur, this is a link out to the Concur system. So you could imagine it as, and the difference between, these are really just ways to give you quick access to information, right? So company links could be one of those things, but an integration could be another one of those things. For example, we're working on this integration right now with ADP. And one thing we've heard with a lot of our users is that they'd love to have easy access to their pay stubs and maybe a little bit more information on their profile in the company and maybe listing team information. So right here with this integration, I can show you from ADP. Now this is obviously a demo. This isn't a real account.
You're not going to see your current paycheck?
Yeah, you're not going to see a current paycheck. This was just working. What just happened to it? Like I said, this is in development. If I need to, I can come back. Okay, there we go. So yeah, this is not real money. But this is an integration with ADP. And if I look at this right here, I can click on it to get more information on ADP. So I can look at things like my paychecks this year, my current paycheck, maybe my last paycheck. I could look at maybe my, let me see, is this a different one? So this is the current, this is, let me try to, okay, there we go. So now, because this is all coming from ADP, you can see that we can click in and you can even get your full pay stub information. So we don't expect to unlock all the capabilities within ADP or any of these services, but what we consider is what people are going to use, 8 out of 10 times, or they're going to use on a weekly, monthly basis. So this can be their Swiss Army knife, the most basic capabilities that they need to really reduce friction in their daily work life.
Yeah, so giving people really easy access to what they need. It's actually so interesting. We get from a lot of our large manufacturing customers, we get support tickets asking, where can I find my pay stub? So this is actually perfect for answering those needs of the individual employee. And again, as we're thinking about connecting that digital workplace and the employee experience, really seamless access, one, to get to the other tools, and also just to bring them to your fingertips is very exciting.
And one of the primary goals with all the commands is we wanted to put them in narrative form, because if you just put them in menu form, it's really intimidating for new users to figure out what they're looking for. So by saying list my expense activity, they don't have to guess what they're asking for. So it's easier to search for it as well. And when you can translate those narratives into different languages, it does make it less intimidating for new users or people that are coming for the very first time to explore, to find what they're looking for without feeling like they have to receive training to understand how to use the system.
That's right.
Yeah.
And one question came in, are we integrating with Workday or PeopleSoft to pull in employee information? The answer is yes.
Yes.
So we're getting all of that information, which is obviously critical to be able to target the services. We know that sometimes there are different types of workers who have access to different services, different benefits, et cetera. So we can help streamline that piece for you here.
Yeah.
Okay, and another question as far as kind of, is this all included in the SocialChorus platform? What, if any, is an extra pro package on top? Tim, do you want to talk to that?
So the way that there's two parts to that, two answers to that question. One is we are looking to unlock really the long tail of integrations for all of our customers, because we know that some things are proprietary, some things are common for Workday. So we're going to go after all of them. The second piece is I really would, from a pricing perspective, there's a number of common things like company links, SC News, resource services. Those are all going to be part of the package. Integrations like Concur or ADP or Workday, I would recommend you speak with your EM and talk about pricing or how you want to structure that, because really that would not be part of my, that's not what I'm good at.
So said a different way, all of Assistant, the easy access links, though that's all included in the base package. If you want a deeper integration to return services like Concur into the Assistant user experience, that's additional.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, and one of the other driving forces behind Smart Inbox, let's say that if you have an ADP integration, is that we also want to build that where we're listening to the events on ADP. And so one of the reasons why Smart Inbox is so important is that if you have integrations to say 10 different systems, we're not going to just be a fire hose that sends all that event data into your inbox that just becomes another system of noise. So we'll be filtering out some of those systems so we can say, hey, you know what, ADP told us you have a new paycheck. Or maybe your schedule system says there's a schedule update. So you know what's important to you without us just putting everything front and center, where you have to filter through that noise to find the signal.
That's right. And two other good questions. So one, yes, this is available on web. We'll show you that in a minute. And the second piece, someone said, how do we get HR, IT to streamline everything on SocialChorus? Our point of view is we meet people where they are. And so this is a way, if people are coming in through SocialChorus, we can give them very easy access to anything else in your ecosystem. Just like if they were coming through Workday or somewhere else, or your own home built solution, we can easily send them to SocialChorus. So our goal for the user experience is to have it be very, very seamless and help the employee get anything they need in that 2 minutes a day, regardless of it's necessarily inside of SocialChorus, or maybe it's inside of SharePoint or Teams, or another place where SocialChorus can integrate.
Yeah, because we truly believe that communications can drive the business, but in order for that to happen, you need to reach every worker. And sometimes, you know, communications in itself for news is not going to be enough to engage those that have historically only had a break room poster. So one of the things that if we can solve a problem that they already know they have, then we can pull them in. And once we pull them in, now you can engage them and you can align and mobilize. So this driving force was just enough to pull them in to make their day easier. So then as communications, you can use that to really help drive the business forward.
Great. And that's a great segue for driving the business forward. Obviously, we're reaching people where they are with targeted information and news updates for them. How do we really understand or start to get a pulse on how people are feeling and thinking in order for us to get them to change?
And here we go. We are also launching polls with 4.0. And what you'll see with the polls is we're going with the most common capabilities that you would expect out of polls today. You have single choice, multiple choice. This, as you can see, this was probably made as a required poll. So it went into basically the section of needs my attention. And you can see I went into this smart note that said these items need your attention. So when I come back, that smart note doesn't go away until this gets out, until I zero this out. So one of this polls says, how am I feeling about returning to work? And it says that there's 7 days and 2 hours before this poll expires. This will be treated just as any other required campaign. So I'll get reminders, or I'll get push notice, or maybe even send it to me via email. So you can think of all the capabilities that we currently have in the platform around content. You'll also have it around polls. So in this case, if I take this, I'm gonna go with the first one. So here I can submit it. Now this is still, there's still a little bit of polish. So the word wrapping needs a little bit more margins in there, but you can see that we have now said that I'm the first person to take this. So it's got 1 vote. And so 100% of the respondents, myself, have said, yeah, I'd rather work from home. I'm productive and safe there. Now, if I go back, you can see that should be down to 2 items. So that's gone. Now, what we want to do is make it really easy for you to stay. We want polls to have a home, so you can always go back and see what was the final poll response once it closes, that sort of stuff. This enters command center. So this is where poll results becomes valuable again. So you can come back here. Again, we're going to fix the word wrapping, but now I can see over time when this poll closes, I can come back and look at all the results of the polls that I have taken. So you have a home to take polls, and you have a long-term home to see how the polls performed.
Perfect. And right. What does, can this be also done on web?
Yeah, let's do that. Let me stop my screen and move over to web. And we are always aiming to create the most seamless experience with all of our endpoints. And right here, so can everybody see my screen? Okay, so here's the web experience. And as you can see, you have this same icon at the top, the light bulb. This is your assistant. So if I come into assistant, and it gives me my same inbox. So I have 2 items that need my attention. I come in here, I have my poll. And in this case, I need to approve a piece of content. But you also have your command center and your notifications and all the same ways to engage with the services that you would expect on the mobile experience. So if I go back up here to inbox, I can come into my items that need attention, and I can take this poll from here as well. So this says, am I getting the information I need from my manager? I will say this. My manager might be watching, so I should be nice. There we go. Take it. Now, what we don't have yet with this release, but we will when we launch polls, is the ability to go see all of your past poll results, just like you could on mobile. And so I would be able to go over here, and I would see the poll results. Now, some of the things, the power of smart notice, or the smart inbox, is when the poll closes, what we'd probably end up doing is putting the poll response into this, say, hey, there was an update. And so you wouldn't even have to go back to the poll results. As soon as the poll closes, I could come into here and I would see the poll response here. So I've been informed of, here was the final results of the poll that I took.
And then this is really exciting, Tim. A couple questions around, is the poll just one question? And what's the thought process behind that?
Yeah, so right now we have big plans for polls. What we're starting with, the first version of polls is going to be single choice and multiple choice. And we're focusing on the reporting and the targeting and really hooking it into the publishing experience. Where we see polls going is hooking it into things like polls, where I could get a poll based on if someone read a piece of content, or if someone has been really active for the last week, or have a bunch of different rules around polls based on behavior or activity. So you could start to get a better understanding of sentiment or engagement or intention with people within your community. So you could start to understand how that relates back to the organization performance. And then ultimately, once you've done that, you can actually think about tying multiple polls together, which gives you a light survey. We don't aspire to be a full survey platform today. Really, where we want to draw the line is the level of polls that we think is necessary for communications to really get intelligence and insights so they can make better decisions. So wherever that journey takes us, that's where we're going to take it. But our overall goal is really intelligence for communications to be more effective.
Yeah, that's so important. And there are a few questions in that regard of who has the ability to create these polls?
Right now, we think of polls the same way we think of as an article or an image or a video. So if you're a studio user that can publish, or if you can publish to a particular channel, you will have access to do these polls as well.
Okay, that is helpful. And timing on polls.
So we are, as you can see, we're getting really close. We're doing some final polish. We expect polls to launch with the 4.0 and Assistant, which is going to be in the next, we think will be in GA, basically releasing it with our first up product in the next couple of weeks. And then we'll be working on our normal update rotation with the mobile experience with customers who have their branded apps over the next 3 months. So it is our next release.
Yeah, and just to be clear, because there are a couple of questions, the polls are included in your base platform. As Tim mentioned, we really want to deliver the ability for any communicator to drive action and drive impact. And we believe that this poll is pretty important in that.
Yeah, for us, polls is absolutely critical. If we could have had it 4 years ago, we would have. We think that 50% of communications is listening or more. And we need to give you more tools to listen. So analyze is part of listening, polls is a part of listening, and anything that we can do to really amplify the impact of communications through better listening, we're going to do. So we look at polls as core as sending out an article. It's just something that you need to be doing and doing well in order to become more strategic and more effective as a communicator.
Super. And then a few questions for people who maybe haven't seen this new homepage. Yes, we have more and more customers who are using this interface as that employee landing page. Again, either as a way to jumpstart a digital employee experience transformation or that intranet refresh. It's just a way to be able to get that news front and center and be able to get your company links, access to resources, and any other quick links into the rest of the organization, solving for that, give your workers everything they need in 2 minutes a day. Okay.
Want me to stop sharing?
Stop sharing. So now we will go back. There was a lovely comment from someone about the number of tabs I have open. So we will go back to all of the tabs I have open. And I won't tell you how many unread emails I have. I will stop my
It wouldn't fit on your screen.
Video. They wouldn't fit on my screen.
Yeah.
Okay, so we wanted to talk a little bit about Studio, show you how to create the polls, as well as preview a little bit of what is coming. So we think of Studio really as, some people call it their mission control for the organization. Tim, do you want to just share a little bit about our intention for Studio?
Yeah, it might sound a bit cold, but we expect Studio to be really that system of record for every communicator. It's where communications for managers, leaders, big C communicators can really, this is where they think about how to engage and align their team and the workforce. And in order to make this happen, one of our philosophies here is we say simplicity scales. And what we really mean by that is, like, we want to unlock more impact and more opportunity with less work. We actually don't aspire for communicators to have to spend 8 hours a day in Studio. When we say get the end users, get users into the experience in 2 minutes a day, that's really about an aspirational goal about being the most effective place possible. Same thing with Studio. We want communicators to feel like we are helping them deliver more impactful, more effective communications in less time, because we know you have a lot of other things within your job, and we don't want it all to have to be here. So we want to make this as impactful as possible.
Perfect.
Yeah, which is one of the reasons why you saw we just released a new publisher, and the new publisher was really about streamlining post creation, unlocking more governance, but really preparing for more opportunity around intelligence and automation. So we have plans to improve the targeting, the designing capabilities, and really start to unlock more content types like what we're talking about now around polls.
Exactly. So if I rewound about an hour ago, I would come in here to create this poll. So I have a studio permission that allows me to create this poll. I can set a time frame for how long I want this to be up. I can obviously schedule it just like you can schedule any post. I can tag an initiative. So for this one, we did return to work. And I can also target to a specific audience. We really listened to what you have said about the ability to target a particular group of individuals and not necessarily have it be associated with a channel. So this also gives you the opportunity to target very specifically those groups of users.
Yeah, what you can see here is that side panel should feel very familiar. Same thing with an article or any other types of content. We want you to learn how to handle one piece of content that you can really manage any type of piece of content. So we really want to unlock the same capabilities across each of these content types. So as we expand, your ability to tweak and tune the strategy will expand with it.
Great. And then again, as Tim mentioned, one of the things that you should be familiar with, or one of the ways that we give intention and help you drive action with communications, is with our smart campaigns. So you also have the ability to use that smart campaign to drive completion of your poll. So we'll target and then retarget to different channels until people have filled out this poll. Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Now,
do you want to show the performance of the poll?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Poll, please. Okay, here we go. Want to talk to this? So this is one.
Sure.
So this is the one I wanted to keep this open to show you how to do it. We've taken this, and then this is what you see from the analytics version of the poll.
Yeah, so this will come out with polls as well, using the analyze stack. It's obviously the response of this poll, how many, and then down below what the responders actually responded with. All the basics you would expect with the poll.
Yeah, so again, we want you to be able to use the poll to, whether it's getting a baseline for how people are feeling as they are returning to work, be able to do really a pulse poll. We have some customers who are sending daily polls. I think especially in this time, there's that great way to get that real-time pulse. And then of course, we want you to be able to filter by role, by department, by line manager, all of the things that you are able to do in Analyze. Okay. And so to remind everyone, so Analyze is our advanced analytics suite that we just rolled out. And Tim, do you want to do kind of I'll give the vision for Analyze is really to give you as communicators and all of your leaders that real-time heat map on what's working in the organization and what's not, and really where you need to dive in to either fix something, to make a certain communication around an initiative more effective, and then ultimately figure out where you're going to have either performance challenges or you can see opportunities for a business performance enhancement.
Yeah, and Analyze is very exciting because it has to be endlessly flexible, because we know that, for some organizations, it's really about the departments, or others it's by location, or some it's by role, and maybe others it's just by tenure or some other dimension that they have within the organization. So we need to make it really easy to be able to pivot on those different dimensions, and then select different timeframes, different filters. And finally, data is not valuable if it's all sitting in a walled garden. So we want to make data accessible. So what we'll be doing with Analyze the rest of this year is making it more collaborative, more engagement opportunities around it. Like, you see that like, and you're probably wondering, what can I do with that like? Well, there will be plans long-term to make that help like drive personalization of the analytics that you see. You'll be able to have conversations around your analytics as well, and then sharing it with other people, or make it really easy to send to people. So you can talk about, so you can learn and discuss and really shape your communication strategy through the insights from analytics.
Perfect. Okay, I will get back. Hold on a second. We have a bunch of questions that I want to make sure we answer. So someone, can SocialChorus front door be used to bring in content from a headless CMS? How did you think about that, Tim?
Yes. Yes,
Great.
we can, right? It's we talk about meet people where they are. We also know that we're not going to be the system of record for all content. And so we do want to integrate with any of these other systems so we can deliver the most relevant information. If you think about everything that we just shown you from Command Center, that's really us attaching to other systems of record so we can unlock that information for the end user. Same thing with these different headless CMSs. If there's information that's of value to the organization, we want to integrate with that, because then we can unlock that for the workers.
Yeah, exactly. And then another couple questions, similar: how does SocialChorus work together with other intranet platforms such as SharePoint? The way that our customers are doing it is, if they're using the SocialChorus web as that homepage or front page, they're linking more deeply into SharePoint for that full document repository. If you think about that as the Library of Congress, and maybe SocialChorus as the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal as a front page. We have some other folks who are using the quick links to link into their HR portals. Another way you can think about SharePoint, or really any intranet portal, is to use that as the main container and use our content amplifiers, which basically gives you either a feed of content or a part of our user experience that can be inside of SharePoint. So again, we really do believe in meeting people where they are and not having to drive and force people to SocialChorus. We really want there to be a seamless experience for every employee. And then for the organization, we want to help you really streamline all of your channels and think of it as this omni-channel platform to drive action from communications. Okay.
I see a couple questions on polls. Polls, we did a number of small things, like making them anonymous. Yes, that's part of that's right now on the roadmap. Allowing them to be embedded into articles, or making them more accessible throughout the platform. Yes, that will be available too. We even had initial goals of allowing people to take a poll within the email. So those that are not in the experience, they get the email, they can take the poll there. That's not going to make it in the first version, but that's the type of direction we want to take it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and just to clarify on timing, so like Tim said, in the next couple weeks, GA, that's when we release general availability, and Assistant will be available on web and anyone who's using the First Up mobile experience. And then as we do the single tenant rollouts, those will be in the following weeks.
Yeah.
And your EM and your account team can help you configure the different links, so your employees get that connected digital employee experience right out of the gate.
Yeah. And there is a question around security of these integrations. One thing to note about security, we go through rigorous audits all the time. And for example, the ADP one, ADP actually has a pretty rigorous audit So if you're integrating with their system, they feel it's their obligation to make sure that anybody that's integrating with their system adheres to their security guidelines, because they feel responsible for their customers' data. So even before we can unlock any of these integrations, the partners that we're working with, like in this case ADP, they actually have to sign off on it. From our customers' point of view, we adhere to industry best practices on security, whether it's OAuth or SCIM-based security. We really don't cache any data. It's all transactional. So there's really no risk of any sort of data leakage outside of the user that has the app in the moment. So we're taking security, and it is a top priority in these integrations.
Yep, definitely. So yeah, we can follow up with a list of integrations that are available. There are also some questions. Yes, so your engagement manager, your EM, if you're a SocialChorus customer, can help guide you on how to get things configured, as well as a walkthrough for users as far as what this looks like. We also have some deeper dive webinars on Thursday and Friday, just to go a bit deeper on all of this exciting new functionality.
Yeah.
So Tim, and it's great, every time I talk to you, I think that there's so much we've just released, and you're famous for saying, oh yeah, we've got one more thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think every year is really, really exciting from this platform. This year is no different. There's a number of things where we feel like they're feathering our caps, or we're just really, really itching to get into the hands of our customers. And this last one is something that we hoped to have be ready to release with this webinar, but it won't happen, but we are very close on it. And that's what we call Smarter Studio, right? Smarter Studio. But really what you're looking at here is the landing page. And the inspiration behind this is not every communicator is a daily communicator, right? They're not in there every day. And so you have your power users, you have your habitual, you have your casual, and we want to really solve the problem for each person. So if you come in and you're an administrator, then landing on the planner page makes a lot of sense. But if you're coming in and you just need to send an article to a group of 12 people, then that might be a bit intimidating. With this new landing page, we really want to make it effective for every single communicator. So some of the components of it, that top section, really that banner is a point of inspiration. We want to, if you are managing an initiative, we might give you a specific use case around that initiative to help you engage your audience. But we also know that 80% of the time people are coming in, they're creating an article, a link, or a video. We want to make that really easy to do. So we've given you single click access for that. But it's also equally important to be learning from your past activity. So right here in one of the primary sections that for you is to give you feedback on the performance of what you've been doing, right? Letting you know which posts are effective, which ones are not effective, what the community is doing around your communications. And lastly, based on your role or your behavior, we will make other recommendations to help broaden your mind around what is possible with this. So there's a couple other things that are in the work that will feed this, like elements, but this is hey, we've updated some templates, or there's some new campaigns, or we check out this new report. So it's really to help introduce you to improvements made in the platform that would potentially help you and your communications. So you can imagine if this is the first time coming into Studio, you know where to start. This might be something you come in 5 days a week, you know where to start. So we really want to make it much easier for every communicator to be more effective because we know that ultimately that helps the organization and that helps every worker.
Yeah, and so when we think about kind of where we started and leading our organizations through this change, that will not go away anytime soon, we want to make sure that you have all of the tools at your fingertips to help reach every worker wherever they are with what they need to align them to your company's vision and mission, what you need them to think, know, feel, and ultimately mobilize to action to tell them what they need to do to help to drive that change. obviously all the while giving you that feedback loop in how are people reacting to those communications, what types of services are they clicking on, so you just have a really robust picture of your workforce that turns into, from using data to help drive decisions, now you'll have really a dashboard that's forward looking. And that's the view when we say that communication does drive the business. That's really how we're thinking about this. And these new releases with 4.0 and Assistant and Polls, Analyze, and then our Smarter Studio are all part of that ultimate vision as far as driving the most impactful communications to drive your business. Anything else, Tim?
No, that's good.
Okay, so we still have a couple questions that we can reach out and follow up with. Again, this has been recorded, so we will put this up. We also have a return to work guide. So using some of this functionality with targeting, with polls, with some of our resources to help you with your return to work campaigns, kind of as that first element of change. Again, we have webinars Thursday and Friday for a deeper dive into the nuts and bolts. And as always, your SocialChorus account team, including support, your engagement manager, and executive sponsors are always there to support you. So thanks everyone for tuning in.
Thank you, everybody.
Look forward to the next one.